Kelly in Vegas, we are back. We are back. It is NFL. It is a brand new season, and the Stack of Stats podcast, it is back. I am Pam Maldonado, joined by my girl, Kelly Stewart, Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, bringing you all of the analytics behind the NFL bets. Kelly, my girl, we are back. Are you excited for the new football season?
We are back, and I'd like to start off the show by apologizing if you hear any loud music in the background. That's my neighbors. If you hear any dogs snoring, that's Coco. And shout out to Pam for recording this basically 24 hours earlier so that I could go to Kansas this weekend. Lots of fun stuff planned for this football season, Pam. So just want all of our viewers to bear with us, and we are going to do our best to crush bets, best bets, and bring you guys lots of winners.
Typically, this podcast is recorded on Friday afternoons, released Friday night for NFL Sunday. However, yes, it is Thursday, so we're doing it a little bit early. But for the most part, you can expect this to be out on Friday evenings. But just a reminder of what it is that Kelly in Vegas and I are doing. We are making 5 against the spread picks each week in the NFL for a contest that we are in. Automatically locked in is Kelly's best bet. Automatically locked in is my best bet. And then we talk it out, hash it out, discuss almost every single game because more often than not, we do not agree, but we try to agree to come up with the other 3. Our combined record last year, hey, you know what? For it being a team type of thing, going 58%, I'd say that's pretty fucking good.
Pam, teams are hard. You know,
it is.
For a long time, I owned a proxy business. I didn't enter these contests, but I always had friends that did, and they always did it with other friends. And there were so many times that each side would be texting me because they would be so mad at the other side. And I think we only got maybe mad at each other like once or twice, and more mad at ourselves because we either talked one another out of a pick and or we crossed one off the list and then went with the second choice. So we're going to avoid doing that this year, work on that teamwork just a little bit more because frankly, I think it's just really difficult to try to find 5 games against the spread, but then also agree with another human being on 5 games against the spread.
Our combined record last season, 58% against the spread. Kelly's best bet win 14-4. My best bets win 12-6. So our best bets combined. Now, if this was a best bets contest, we went 26-10, 72%. So that's pretty good. Not once, though. Not once in the entire season did we hit a 5-0. And oh my God, we were so close. We did hit 4-1 5 times. So we are right there. I feel like maybe now this season, because we understand what your process is, what my process is, we went 1-4 just twice. So hey, 4-1 5 times, 1-4 twice. That's pretty good. Do you think that we need to change any little part of our strategy?
You know, that's difficult. And I kind of said that just a second ago. I think that we stop this thinking long, thinking wrong thing, right?
Think wrong.
Because several of those 4-1 weeks, or even the 1-4 weeks where we said, oh, well, Kelly doesn't love the Raiders as much as Pam, or Pam doesn't love the Eagles as much as Kelly, and wherever we conceded on, even though we slightly agreed or it was a lean for one of us, but a like for the other, I think we got to stop overthinking that and trying to always be 100% on the same page. Like, I think sometimes as women, we've not necessarily you and I, but we gravitate towards trying to find a middle ground where maybe one side just puts their foot down a little bit more. And then, you know, maybe it's that 5th pick we have to agonize over. But sometimes I've noticed that over the last year, what we were doing was just thinking entirely too hard about something. Whether that be me with a line move or hearing something about sharp action, whether that being you with some sort of analytical data that you had that said, you know, I don't like quarterback A against this defense, right? And I think that when you start to get a little too far into it, it can be a little much. So you have to remember, picking 5 games in the NFL, the tightest market in the country as far as sports betting goes, is so freaking hard. So listen, 14-4 on best bets. You were right behind me. I said this last year. I said, man, I should only bet my best bets. I think that's what I'm going to do this year, Pam.
Well, you sent me a text that said it was like a list of like 7 games. And then you said, well, I only have money on A, B, and C. A, B, and C is more than a single best bet, so you're already falling off the wagon. But
This is also still a learning process. It's very easy for me to preach what I know to other people. Implementing it myself sometimes is not the
I
easiest.
know. I
I have a
know.
ton of teasers this week. This is a perfect teaser week, so you're going to hear me say
Mhm.
that a lot. Yeah, I like this team catching up over a touchdown, or yeah, I like this team under a field goal. That's where it gets difficult. These lines for week one have been out for so long. They've been beat up,
Yeah.
they've been abused, starting with Thursday night, right? And again, I'm going to work on it on my end as far as trying not to overthink things.
Well, then let's get right into it because you already have your best bet. You locked that in like on like Monday, really early. You had sent me your text of like, here's the games that I like. And I responded like, what the fuck? I haven't even looked at the lines yet. So you were way ahead of it. I know that you're talking about it, that the lines have already moved because these lines have been out for so long. How do you think that people should be betting week one? Is me personally, I don't really bet much in the NFL to begin with. Like, I am very specific. I really do like totals more than I like spreads. And like you, I really want to try to focus on here's my best bet. That's going to be my one wager because I don't want to lose. I don't want to give it back to the books on a Sunday what I've made on Saturday.
Yep. And that happens so often for me. I was looking at some of my spreadsheets in probably early August, late July, and I was like, God, how many times did I give back something on Sunday because I'm in a group chat and this person says, oh my God, I
You get
love this
tucked into
game. And
it.
then I start looking at it more and I'm like, oh, I like it as well. Or did I bet something early on a Tuesday where I've got a beautiful CLV trophy that ends up getting thrown in the trash come Sunday afternoon? I mean, those things are going to happen, but I really am planning on showing a lot more discipline this fall. And like I said, this week I'm gonna have plenty of action just in teasers. I did do what I would call a half bet on 2 games, and my best bet a full bet. So even though
Okay.
I said I was only gonna bet my best bet, at least I'm scaling it appropriately.
Well, your best bet also happened to have been one of my best bets earlier in this week as well. So that was a nice matchup. So, of course, that's automatically in. So, Kelly's best bet, yes, it is Vikings plus 1.5 at home against the Green Bay Packers. Kelly, other than Mike Zimmer, who I know you loved oh so dearly, can you tell me why you loved the Vikings this week at home?
I did love Zimmer. He was a great ATS coach. And full disclosure, I think it's probably a good thing that he's gone. We
Hmm.
have O'Connell, who is a um, offensive coordinator, offensive minded guy from the Rams. He was Kirk Cousins' coach in Washington. So you hear Zimmer and you hear now that he's been fired, all these rumblings about certain things. You throw in the fact that you've got Justin Jefferson, you've got Adam Thielen, and you've got a couple of really young wide receivers to really fill in the gaps. Plus, I'm really high on Dalvin Cook this year. I think that he's going to help open up that offense with the run game. Obviously, this all is contingent on everybody staying healthy, right? And I think that's the big key here for this Vikings team. The Vikings play the NFC North tough in non-primetime games, right? We've seen the Packers fall flat on their face week one for the last couple of years. If you remember
Hmm.
last year, Pam, my best bet this week was the Saints.
Thanks.
And who went down? That's right, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. The guy I date is a Packers fan. We already have plans to go to a couple games, so that I'm no Packers hater for anybody in the comments. I don't want anybody to think that. But this is a Vikings team that I'm very high on for the season, and it starts week one.
Green Bay 15-10 against the spread as an away team, 7-7 against the spread as an away favorite. Minnesota 7-2 against the spread as a home underdog. And now you're telling me that the Green Bay Packers do not have Devontae Adams, who absolutely torched this Minnesota defense. 8 touchdowns against Minnesota in the last 4 games alone. 23 touchdowns in the previous 29 against Minnesota. So, yes, I'm with you. I'm on board. I'm a big believer that the Vikings this season could potentially win its conference, win the division. They can do really well. Make it deep here, make it deep into the playoffs. Green Bay. What helps that is the offensive line, and yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers. That's the lone factor. But when you take away a key part of its offense, like Devontae Adams, it really shifts things around. When you add a new personnel like Kevin O'Connell, who's going to change the offense around, no longer Mike Zimmer, who is very defensive minded, and he was more about play to not lose instead of play to win. I really like that the Rams offensive coordinator, and now they have a new offensive coordinator as well in Russ Phillips, who is a former Rams tight end coach. this is going to be a revamped offense. So, I mean, you already saw Kirk Cousins, who is one of the top passing players in the league, and that was with Mike Zimmer at the helm. And now you have an offensive minded coach in Kevin O'Connell. I'm really excited about the Vikings team. I love your pick. I was on board with it as well. My best bet, it's going to be more of a puke fest.
Oh, here we go. Week 1.
Can you guess? If I
Let's
say
see.
puke fest.
If I was Pam picking the most disgusting, is it the most disgusting game on the board or close?
No, definitely not the most, but I would say it's up there.
I would go. Oh well, are we gonna just throw it out there? Is it the Jets week 1? Are you already on the Jets?
No, I will not bet the Jets. I will not bet the Jets. I will not bet the Jets. Remember that was like the one thing that we said we weren't going to do last season. We were going to fade them, and then we never actually faded them, and then they never covered the spread. So missed opportunities by us.
1 week we did take them. The following week, I believe they covered. That was
they covered. One. That was it. I'm going with the Browns plus 1.5 at the Panthers. It is a small spread, just like yours. But who is the Browns quarterback? I don't care because this is about and who's the Panthers quarterback. I also don't care, though. Yes, it is Baker Mayfield. It is more for this game for me. It is about the Carolina rushing defense against the Cleveland rushing offense. I look for whether it's in the NFL, whether it is in college football, in ATP tennis, I am looking for strength versus weakness, and this is the one that I found that I loved the most. You have a rushing defense from the Panthers, 26th in opponent rushing percentage last season, 18th in rushing touchdowns allowed. They gave up 143 rushing yards to Ezekiel Elliott, 245 to Dallas, another 200 yards to Minnesota, and Dalvin Cook had 140, and 151 total yards to New England, who wasn't even that strong at the run game to begin with. And now you are telling me that this Panthers rushing defense, who did not improve on this unit, is going to have to face Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and Dearness Johnson. Combined, 4th total in rushing yards, 4th rushing touchdown percentage. I love this 3-man group. Love Chubb against this defense. If you're going to give me Jacoby Brissett as a quarterback, he himself is a runner. He very well can just like pick up the ball and run himself, but they're probably more than likely going to hand off the ball to the players that they absolutely entrust in this offense. And those are the top 3 guys. Carolina's running back, Christian McCaffrey, he's already injured. He's already injured. He is walking glass and he's already injured. And we haven't even started in week 1 yet. What did I see? Somebody called him Christian McCaffrey, whatever. I mean, this is a defense. This is a Panthers team that I am super, super down on this season. I do not expect them to surpass their season win total, and it starts in week 1 against the Browns. In the last 3 seasons, the Panthers are 20-29 against the spread, but they are 6-18 against the spread at home. They are 4-12 against the spread in the last 2 seasons under head coach Matt Rule, who I remember people who were so high on, and I was like, not going to work out. 1-6 against the spread as a home favorite under Matt Rule. I love the Browns. I know it's a 1.5 spread. Straight up money line is what you should just bet if you're going to take it. But this is my ugly dog pick of the week.
Yeah, I have them in every single possible teaser combination. Pam, I'm with you. I've really warmed up to the Browns this week, and it's for everything you just said about Carolina. I'm already over the talking heads of Baker Mayfield's going to get his revenge. Is Baker Mayfield going to be able to take good care of the football? I don't know. I've seen good Baker and bad Baker way too many times. I'm not worried about Jacoby Brissett. I know exactly what I'm getting from him. We don't need big pass plays from him. We need him to be efficient enough so that Carolina their defense obviously cannot intercept the ball or do anything. We just need him not to be catastrophic, right? We know exactly what we're going to get from the Browns defense. Myles Garrett, Cleveland pass rush. It is going to be, and they're going to try to eat Baker alive, right? Let's be honest. I think the part of the reason why he's no longer there is because there was some animosity in the locker room and the coaching staff saw it. And they said, okay, was it Odell Beckham Jr.? Okay, he can go to the Rams. And then they start peeling back the layers. Maybe Baker's a bad guy. Maybe he's not. But I do think that this defense is going to have his number. I think this is going to be a really great game. As I mentioned, I did not bet it against the spread. I'm with you, though. I think you just take the money line if you are going to bet it. And I do like this play. I love this play. plus 7.5. I think that the Browns have a very good opportunity to win this one. So I do really like your best bet. And I know some really sharp people that agree with you.
So I think here's what we should do automatically right off the bat. This is a against the spread pick show and for a contest, but we are still talking sports betting. So if you have a Vikings plus 1.5 and I have Browns plus 1.5, take both straight up on the money line as a spread, whatever you prefer, but tease both from 1.5 up to 7.5, and that is your underdog. That is your underdog. That is your teaser pick of the week. Your best
Yeah,
bet, my
absolutely.
best bet. And I love it. You're getting the Vikings at home, who have one of the best at home against the spread records. You have the Browns, who are the Panthers, to cover 7.5 points to anybody this season, especially right out of the gate with so many new parts against this vulnerable defense going up against a great rushing offense. I love that, and that's probably what I'm going to do. I am holding myself to the fire just like you, that I am going to be disciplined this season. So I am taking the Browns as my bet, and I am teasing the Vikings with the Browns, and that's it. I'm not touching anything else.
I don't blame you at all. I do have the Rams tonight, Thursday night, in every which way. I have the Jags teased. I have the Browns teased. I even have the lovely Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night teased, even though I know I should be betting against Tom Brady in all of his drama past his bedtime. I'm not sure I can do it just yet. We'll see. We'll see how Sunday plays out. But yeah, I'm with you. Those are the two best bets on the board this weekend.
So then the rest of the card, we have 3 left that we have to add it in additions to. I gotta admit, I don't love like, oh, anything. I'm looking for strength versus weakness in a lot of these teams, and it's very difficult because you have so many teams who have new coaches, new offensive coordinators, new defensive coordinators, new quarterbacks, just a lot of changes within the league itself. There's 32 teams, and I believe that I wrote something like 20 of them have new personnel changes, and like half of them have new quarterbacks. It's a lot to kind of consume. So I'm really kind of throwing data out of the mix in week 1 because of all these changes, and more so kind of fading narratives is what I kind of want to go with this season. In week 1, fade these narratives. So I'm going to start first, or maybe in this particular instance, back a narrative, and that would be the Dolphins minus 3.5 at home to the Patriots. Now I know that the Patriots had one of the best defenses last year, but Miami 13-4 against the spread at home, 5-2 against the spread as a home favorite. You're talking about 2 teams, the Patriots, the Dolphins, who both had really solid defenses last year. So now you're giving me the home team who has a lot of upgrades in its offense. So 12th in opponent yards per play last year, this Miami Dolphins. And because Tua, he was sacked 40 times over the last 2 seasons, they have rebuilt their offensive line. They added Connor Williams, Terran Armstead. They dropped wide receiver Devontae Parker, added Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson. We all know the narratives. Dolphins, huge upgrades have been made. It's just a matter of, can Tua Tagovailoa, one, stay healthy? My answer to that, it's week 1. He's healthy. And then is he capable of a quarterback to utilize some of these weapons? That's the guessing game. I'm going to say that with having a new head coach in Mike McDaniel, who is under the Kyle Shanahan offense, that he is going to be able to, at least for a little while, kind of look like a quarterback that people are expecting him to be looking as. The Dolphins, healthy quarterback, improved offensive line, a great head coach, receivers that can produce, and a great against the spread home record. What
I
else
love
do
it.
I need?
No, I love it. I'm with you. I know I didn't update you my list from Monday. I really like the Dolphins this week. Situationally, Pam, I'm going to couple off everything you just said. You nailed it. I think Mike McDaniels is going to be a freaking rock star in Miami. And it might not be with Tua, but at some point in time, this man is going to win a Super Bowl. He is so freaking smart and so football minded. I love him. But what I'm looking at here is 90 degrees, 110 afternoon, Miami. If you've ever been to Sun Life Stadium on the visitor side, it is hotter than the surface of the sun. And since 2013, there's a reason why the Pats are only 2-7 straight up and against the spread there. And that's because it's
Wow.
not fun to play in Miami, especially in September. It's going to be hot. It's going to be muggy. It's going to be disgusting. And you cannot replicate that. I don't care that Bill Belichick is already in the great state of Florida. It does not matter. It takes time. So coupled with everything you said, plus throw in some situational mix there, I'm with you on Miami.
The line for the contest is 3.5. Does that I know you're a big person when it comes to having the hook and all of that, but for me, when I look at a game like that, a home favorite who's getting 3.5, it's so easy for the general public to be like, "Ooh, let me catch the hook on the other side with the underdog." This is kind of me for me throws what am I trying to say? A 3.5 at home for me says like, "Hey, this is a safe bet." Safe bet. What do you think about the hook
So I'll
for
be
three and
honest
a
with
half?
you. The difference between 2.5, 3, and 3.5. And if we talk
Mhm.
about the Washington Commanders Jacksonville game, I'll explain it again because it's the exact same thing in reverse. So this line opened 2.5 forever ago, right? Like 3, 4 months ago when it first came out. Moved to 3. Now we're seeing 3.5 in the marketplace, and that's because we're getting a ton of sharp money on the Dolphins. I do not want to say that you cannot bet it. I think that that's rather limiting, but you do need to understand the price difference between those three numbers because 3 is the most common number that the NFL games land on. 3 is the most valuable. And that is why I harp on that 0.5% so much. For a contest, I understand exactly what you're saying. You're getting a
Mhm.
divisional dog, which are almost 57% on the road. And it's a
Mhm.
great bet. I love divisional dogs, especially on the road. I don't love the Patriots this year. I think that Mac Jones is going to be a serviceable quarterback, but I don't think that he's the second coming of Tom Brady. As far as like weapons go, they still haven't shown me anything offensively that's been anything impressive.
Right.
If if I were to back the Patriots, the only thing I could say positive about them would be their defensive side of the ball. I do think that they're going to try to double team Tyreek Hill, but that's going to open up some other wide receivers on the Dolphins offense. And I still think the Dolphins are the right side here, even though we're late to the party with a 3 in the hook.
Okay. I like it. So then you were talking about the Jags and Washington, and I know you sent me that you liked Washington. I'm gonna be honest and say I liked the Jags.
Yeah, I no
That's
longer like Washington, and
okay.
I'm gonna
Interesting.
tell you exactly why. The again Monday, I had a long list that I had looked at the week prior, and I said, okay, what do I like here, and what can I send to Pam to see just immediately what we're in like agreement with, right? So
Mhm.
there's a lot of different things here, but I'm not sure how good of a game manager Carson Wentz is. I know we bet on him a couple times last year. We got lucky. We got the cover, but maybe not the win. I do have my concerns with him still turning the ball over and just being so inept in the red zone. Now, maybe we can blame a little bit that on the Colts offensive coordinator. Maybe we can blame a little bit on the Colts offensive line. But ultimately, I think that really is on Carson Wentz, right? This is a team also now that's Carson Wentz's problems in the red zone. Now you throw him on the Commanders, who ranked 26 out of 32 teams in the red zone percentage last year.
Right.
Uh surely they can improve, right? In theory. But I think speaking of improvement, the Jaguars look improved on both sides of the ball. I do think that we should see a better season from Trevor Lawrence. Trayvon Walker is going to make a really big impact
Mhm.
on the defensive side of the ball. I do think that he is going to be able to get to Carson Wentz here. And the more I started to look at this and the fact that it came down off that key number of 3, that's such a huge move, Pam. Like that's big time respected money. And I said, "Ooh, I don't really like the Commanders anymore." And then I got to looking at it. I've done some other shows this week. I know some guys that I'm really high on. They like the Jags. I'm like, perfect. Guess what I'm doing? Jags teaser. Like it just no brainer. Jags teaser. I don't need to bet the Jags. Jags teaser.
Jags
So
Caesar.
that was an easy one for me to realize. Yep, I understand why I was initially looking at Washington, but Washington as a favorite has been so horrific. And I will gladly take the L and say I was wrong about them if they go in there and they handle business at home. But then you got to even look at some of the issues outside of just the team as a whole, right? There was some
Mhm.
coaching staff issues this summer. You've got uh Dan Snyder is like the worst owner in humanly possible. And everybody hates him. Who's going to be at this game? You're going to see a ton of Jags fans. It's going to be rather interesting. So I'm with you. I like the Jags here.
So it's like you. I don't trust Carson Wentz. He's absolutely inaccurate. He can't handle pressure situations. There is a reason why Carson Wentz is on his third team in as many seasons. He threw for over 6 yards per pass attempt in the final 11 games of the 20 of last year. I mean, you're talking about advanced metrics. He was 30th for throwing out of a clean pocket. 30th out of how many quarterbacks out of throwing a clean pocket? 28th in completion percentage when under pressure. And I know that the Jags, they're statistically, they are not ranked high for having a pass rush. But we did see that there was capabilities there with Josh Allen, the linebacker, not Josh Allen, the quarterback. He had 4 sacks, 2 interceptions in week 9. Carson Wentz against this Jags team last year. I very replicate it could very well happen again. And Carson Wentz, he was sacked 6 times in a 26-11 loss to Jacksonville, throwing for under 200 passing yards. Tell me that I'm not going to try to find a way to fade Carson Wentz each and every week. And it's going to start this week with my
especially
Jags.
against strong defenses and pass rushes, right? I think you're absolutely correct there. I forget you're a Jags fan. I always forget that.
I'm going to be sporting these on Sunday.
My boyfriend's uncle manages a waste facility, and he actually sent me a brand new Jacksonville Jaguars purse he found in the trash, and I'm going to send it to you. You're going to love it.
Send it. Yes, I love it.
It's so terrible. It's
Please
brand
don't
new,
put it
still
in the
in the
trash.
packaging. And he goes, "Do we have any Jags fans in this family?" And I go, "I need that. I know a Jags fan."
Oh my God, that is me. That is me. The one lone Jags fan out there, Duval. I know.
No, you and a couple Barstool guys are Jags fans. I don't understand how, but here we are.
Okay, so then do you want to go ahead and lock that in then?
I think
The
we do.
Jaguars plus 2.5. So then that gives us 4 games. Okay, this is going a lot more smoothly than I thought that it would. So then there was one. Okay, we're talking about earlier fading the Jets. What do you think about the Ravens -7 on the road at the Jets? I know that it is a big spread covering the 7 on the road. That is a lot to ask for. But Jets, whether it is, I don't care if it is Zach Wilson, I don't care if it is Joe Flacco, you're talking about a Ravens team that was just absolutely decimated with injuries last season at the defensive back, wide receivers, offensive line, running back, and even Lamar Jackson himself was injured and out in the last few games of the year. 8-9 against the spread last season, but before that, the Ravens were 21-10 against the spread in the last 2 seasons prior. This Jets defense, and this is what's more important to me, is you're talking about a Ravens offense that was decimated with injuries, returning key parts against a Jets defense that allowed a touchdown on 32% of possessions. That was the highest rate in the league last year. 32nd in total defense, 25th in quarterback pressure, 29th in quarterback sacks allowed. How do the Ravens just not blow the Jets out of the water?
You would think, but I'll be honest with you. The reason why I kind of left this game off is because I don't know what to expect from Joe Flacco. If it was Zach Wilson under center, I would know exactly what I was going to get from him. Joe Flacco, while albeit was on the back of the Ravens defense, has a Super Bowl ring. I mean, I don't think he's that bad. And I'm going to say there's not much drop off between him and Zach Wilson. If not, he's actually probably a little bit better. I have to wonder here where Lamar Jackson's head's at. Obviously, he will be starting whether his contract is done or not. And that is my biggest concern. Is Lamar in 100%? You're right. On paper, this team should be much better. They should have way better luck when it comes to the injury bug.
Mm-hmm.
They just concern me. And, you know, a lot of
fair. No, that is fair.
A lot of people are texting me, "Cal, what do you think about Baltimore for Survivor?" And I'm like, oh my, that makes me nauseous because we saw another 7-point favorite go down last year. I think it was the Bills. Was it? Weren't they?
It was actually it was actually the Ravens too. The Ravens last year on the road. Oh, who did they lose to?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. There are moments in time, and it's unfortunate, but I think that this one is just a little too many unknowns for me to want to get involved, considering I think it looks way too easy because they haven't moved to 7.5 to tease the Ravens. And that's because they move it to 7.5, everybody's going to put them on a teaser and hope they don't lose. That's why I think they scare me the most from a survivor standpoint. I actually was considering going Miami. We'll see. Tennessee probably, I feel like, is a safer bet there. But there's a couple other games that I would prefer over the Ravens just because, again, I'm a little uneasy about how this Ravens team is going to perform. And that means that they're going to win like 21-3.
Granted, it is a different team, but the Jets did cover and win a 7 home favorite underdog spread to the Titans in week 4.
Oh, that's right. They did.
Okay, so for that reason alone, I'm like, okay, let's not do that. And then the Lions also covered a 7-point home underdog spread and won to the Vikings.
Yes, they did.
So that's just scared. You know what? You already scared me off enough. I am on board with completely leaving that one alone. Is there any game that you liked that you would maybe want to consider?
Well, this is kind of interesting, and maybe you can talk me off of it because I love those divisional home dogs, Pam. We know that there's just something in my blood that gravitates towards them. And I text you this one on Monday, and it's the Falcons. Everybody knows I'm a huge Jameis Winston fan. Everybody knows I have over 8.5 wins. I have the NFC South champion. And I said this to my girlfriend, who is a big Saints fan. And then I had to Google it. I said, yeah, but the Falcons always have their number. And she goes, I know, right? Well, they haven't as of recently. 5 of the last 6, the Saints have covered. And that's why I wasn't going to push really hard for this. And I'm probably not going to get to the window with this. We know what Jameis Winston's known for, right? Is he going to throw an interception? Is he going to throw a pick 6? We know that he's now had LASIK. We know that he's healed 100%. But you know who he throws a lot of interceptions against? That's right, the Saints. Because remember, the Falcons. Because remember, before he played for the Saints, he played for the Bucks. And I think that's a really interesting thing here because last season, the Falcons defense was just so insufferable, right? And Matt Ryan got a lot of blame for things. But I will say this. If Atlanta can pick off Wilson and or not make bonehead mistakes, right? Like we've seen them do in the past, I think they can cover the 5.5. I don't love this because, again, I've got a lot of bets on the other side. My biggest X factor here, and exactly why I'm probably not going to get to the window, is I don't know what to expect from Marcus Mariota.
Back in 2019, in the 2 games that Jameis Winston played against the Falcons, 5 interceptions, 3 passing touchdowns. I'll take that back. 5 passing touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and only 1 sack. So it's like but was it the LASIK? Was it that he's just not a great quarterback? There are a lot of question marks here because we still have yet to see Jameis kind of play a full season with the Saints. And I would actually probably entrust Marcus Mariota. The one thing that I do like about this pick is that you kind of already know what to expect from Mariota. He is a good runner. That's why we've seen him utilized down at the goal line more often than not. I don't think he makes those boneheaded, like, let me just pass it, figure it out type of situations. He's kind of more level-headed, grounded, and he would probably take more control of the offense. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm on the Falcons here for the season and they're going to do well. I still very much down on them, under the season win total, missed the playoffs, everything, every which way negative that you can get. But when it comes to this situation, I don't mind that aspect. Who else is going to be on it?
Listen, the only other one, and I would say that is equal to that pick, is the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 6.5. And I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. This is just a straight Bengals fade. Love Mike Tomlin. I think he's one of the greatest coaches out there. Mitch Trubisky, obviously a huge question mark, but I think he learned a lot behind Josh Allen last year. And I do think that Tomlin's going to call the plays. I mean, God, you had Big Ben that was a freaking statue out there, and they still had winning seasons. My main concern here is that the line is just a little too high. What the Bengals were able to do last year, obviously they beat them by 14 in Pittsburgh and then 31 at home. I think that's still going to resonate in the back of people's heads. But fading the Super Bowl loser week 1 has been an absolute money play for the last 20 years, Pam. It's like 4-16 against the spread. I had it written down on a random piece of paper. And what did I
Really?
do? Yeah, I threw it in the trash and don't know where it is. But it is some like crazy egregious number, like only 4 or 5 covers out of 20 that the Super Bowl loser does week 1.
The Bengals have won and covered 3 straight games against the Steelers, their longest win streak in rivalry since winning 6 straight against Pittsburgh over the 1988 and 1990 season. Um, that's concerning. But that was also Big Ben. How much of a drop off really is Mitch Trubisky? Yes, he does have more mobility to him. Um, hmm.
Well, what is there a third one that you really like
Let's look
or
at a
that
third
you've
one.
had on your
How
radar?
about also another one that like nobody is going to consider? How about I like both of those options and both are good but good contemplations. However, what all additional Cardinals at +6 at home to the Chiefs? The Chiefs don't cover. And this line was 3.5 and it's been bet up to like the spread on this game preseason for weeks, it was closer to 4, and now it's 6. I don't know where all the Chiefs love is coming from all of a sudden. I know that there's a lot
It's
of
been around. It's been around for years now. I mean, the Chiefs love against the spread even. I mean, look at last year.
Mhm,
They were one of
mhm.
the worst teams against the spread. And yet, week after
People
week,
still bet them.
everybody is betting them hand over fist to win the Super Bowl. They're betting Patrick Mahomes over passing. They're doing everything that they can. I did have Cardinals on my long list. I do not like that DeAndre Hopkins is out. I do have my concerns about Kyler Murray and being able to fill that void because this is how you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You better have
Right,
a great defense, which the Cardinals don't. They have a decent defense,
right.
not a great defense, or you've got to be able to match them score for score.
Okay. How about I agree. Leave it off. What then? I'm talking about the teams fading all of these narratives and kind of or just like backing the ugly, ugly teams. The Giants +5.5 at the Titans. Now I know that it is like very concerning to back the Giants, and there's not really a whole lot to go on because this is a team that was one of like the 20 that has a brand new everything, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. But Daniel Jones, what I remember from him is one, he has the ability to run. Titans, they have a great pass rush. I trust that he can kind of scramble and make things happen. Two, Daniel Jones also is pretty good with the long ball. And the Titans defense, most susceptible to the pass last season. They were first against the rush. Well, the Giants don't run the ball. Saquon Barkley, yes, he is healthy. He could potentially do well. But this is definitely more of a nobody's going to want to back the Giants. It's week 1. Let's try to aim for a 5-0 in the least likely of places.
Yeah, listen, Pam, I know people came in on the Giants. We
Oh,
saw it come down from 6. I know some really sharp groups. I know some people that bet the under here or there as well, which means points at a premium. I have no problem betting against the Titans because I feel like whenever your team drafts a quarterback,
hmm
there's a reason, right? And you've got Ryan Tannehill, who under Mike Vrabel has been so much better. But yet here they are, early exit in the AFC yet again, right? And
right.
when they drafted Malik Willis, I thought, oh, what's going on here? I'm not so sure. And he looked good in the preseason. He's not going to start. It's going to be Ryan Tannehill. But what does that do to Tannehill's psyche? Does he pull an Aaron Rodgers and is like, screw you? Like, you're not getting my spot? Or does it kind of mess with him a little bit? And then on the flip side, you mentioned the Giants. Do I trust Daniel Jones? Absolutely not. But they do have all new everything, right? They've got a new play caller in Mike Kafka, which should be a good thing.
Right.
They've got to be able to, their defense has got to be able to expose some of the issues with the Titans. My question is, can the Giants stop the run? Because that's going to be I think, the difference maker to cover here. I
Right.
don't think the Giants are going to go in there and win this game.
No,
And
you're
because
right.
it is 6, that doesn't mean that the Titans can't march down the field and kick a last minute field goal and win it. We see it every Sunday in the NFL. I
Mhm.
just have my concerns. Is Daniel Jones going to throw a late pick? Is Derrick Henry going to break a long one? And then we get screwed here. I'm with you. I think the Giants is the right side. I just hope that equates to a W on the field, or at least a W against the spread.
Well, this is why we talk, and it's usually our 5th pick that ends up being the hardest. So then what do you think? We're talking about we're talking about, those home dogs, Seahawks, plus 6.5 at home to and I know you love the Broncos, and
Oh, I do.
everybody is so high on Russell Wilson to the Broncos
And
in
I
Super
don't
Bowl.
understand it. I
Oh,
don't understand it at all. The
okay.
narrative there is insane. The narrative here is Russell Wilson's going to go out and win a Super Bowl with Denver. And I'm like, everybody pump the brakes, please.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
don't, when somebody told me that they saw a Broncos 10 wins, I was like, are you drunk? They're in the AFC West. This whole division is going to cannibalize themselves. I am not going to bet the Broncos. So I would be apt to listen to the Seahawks. Primetime home dog Monday night. That place is going to be rocking. I will say this. It's going to be Geno Smith, not Drew Lock. If it was going to be Drew Lock, I would say, no, Pam, I have to put my foot down here. But because it's going to be Geno Smith,
He was
I've
very
seen what
capable
we're going
last
to get from
season.
Geno.
Yeah. He was stable. It wa
And he was able to get them a couple of covers last season. As far as Denver goes, do they deserve to be touchdown favorites on the road right now? Their defense is good. And I think their defense is going to be what separates them for that 10-win season. If it happens, it's going to be because they're going to be able to capitalize on turnovers. They're going to make big stops. That's what's going to keep the Broncos in a game. But now we're asking them to go from this underdog role to a pretty sizable favorite here. I hate that it's 6.5. If it was 7, all day. 6.5 is almost like who's got the balls to bet the Seahawks, and I'm okay with betting the Seahawks. I really think that this is one of those really great primetime underdog moments. Seattle, sorry, I just was looking for the Seattle 11-2 against the spread in their last 13 as a home dog. Now, obviously,
That's
all of
with
those were
Russell
with
Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Right.
So something to consider. I don't love Pete Carroll, but here's kind of
Correct.
his last hurrah. Seattle has not performed well in primetime games, but I think all of this is built into the line. I think that you know that you're paying a premium for Russell Wilson, and you're just hoping that he can put together 4 big time drives in order to score enough points to cover the spread.
So then there's 2 games that we talked about that I'm in agreement with you. So I'll throw out those options. I don't think that I could back the Steelers. I know that it's the defense and yada yada, but it is the Bengals and they have a good defense themselves. So when I have 2 teams that have good defenses, then the X factor is the offense and it's never Steelers. So for that reason alone, I can't. So the ones that I do like that are a bit more on the wild side, but nobody's gonna have them. And the logic that you have, the narratives that you have, the storylines, the data points, they all match up. The Falcons at home as 5.5 point underdogs to the Saints. I do love the fact that yes, Jameis Winston doesn't have a good history with the Falcons, regardless of whether it was 2019, regardless of whether it may have been LASIK or not. And he is still kind of like a rookie quarterback, essentially, because we haven't seen him do a complete season with this Saints team. That's the X factor. I like that. The other one would be the Seahawks at home, 6.5 point underdogs to the Broncos because the world is on the Broncos and for all the reasons that you said. Which of those two would you feel most comfortable with? If neither, is there another option?
I was going to bring up one more option only because I think this is a really interesting dynamic. As I just mentioned, the AFC West is very cannibalistic this year. I think they are
Right.
going to destroy one another, in fact, and wouldn't be surprised to see a team with 8 wins sitting on top of that division. I like the Raiders this weekend. I like Josh McDaniels a lot. And I do
Mm.
believe what he's going to be able to do is fix some of those red zone issues that we saw last season, right? We know what he did with New England. and New England was an absolute and utter powerhouse.
Right.
The Raiders last season were the worst team. Actually, I take that back. They were the fourth worst team. You know who was worse? The Bears, the Lions, the Giants in the red zone last year. I have Derek Carr as my backup quarterback on my fantasy team, and I was not happy about it. I'll be honest with you. But then I started looking a little bit more into him and what he's done in Las Vegas. And guess what? Devontae Adams, who we just talked about, played with him in freaking college. I think this Raiders team is going to be pretty solid this year. On the flip side, I do have Herbert on my fantasy team. And this is why I hate big money fantasy, because it always was bets over fantasy. And now I'm like, crap, am I really considering the Raiders for our fifth pick? Because I have Justin Herbert. This is not what I want to do to myself.
So then let's not do it. Because you said something that I could not back, because it is more of a prove it to me situation. And that is that the Raiders were 13th in the NFL for drives to reach the red zone, but they were ranked 26 and actually converting those into touchdowns. So could they be improved? Absolutely. Could a new coach help? Absolutely. Could a new playmaker help? Absolutely. Prove it to me first.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes you just got to see it, play it out on the field. They got to be able to pass the eye test.
So I would then revert back to those two. So would you feel better with the Falcons or the Seahawks? I got to be honest, I kind of lean into the Falcons here.
Oh, well, I'm glad you made the decision, because both of them make me sick to my stomach.
Is this going to think long, think wrong?
Yeah, that's what I just told you. I'm with you on the Falcons. I had it Falcons, Steelers, Seahawks, Raiders on my long list in case we got there. I text you Falcons on Monday. I bet the Falcons already for, like I said, a little nugget, not too crazy. I'm probably gonna regret all the things that happen in the legal state of Kansas all weekend.
I think we have a good mix. We have stuff that we love. We have stuff that we're kind of like, but we like. And it's a mix of good teams because they have a good defense, they have a good offense, or the ones that should be improved. I like our card. Those are our 5 against the spread picks. We have Vikings plus 1.5 as Kelly's best bet. We have Browns plus 1.5 as my best bet. And then the other 3 that we came up with, the Dolphins minus 3.5 at home, the Jaguars plus 2.5 on the road, and the Falcons plus 5.5 at home. I actually really fucking love our card for week 1.
No, I do.
Can we get a 5-0?
I like it a lot. I've talked a lot of football in the last 48 hours because I'm trying to cram everything from 4 days into 2. And I'm with you. I think we've made some really good decisions. And listen, let's have a 5-0 just to start off the season.
Imagine a 5-0 with the Falcons, the Jaguars, and the Browns.
Isn't that gross? I was actually talking to somebody, and when I won the mini contest so many years ago, I went 5-0, 5-0, 4-1. And he reminded me, he goes, remember that next week 1? He goes, you started off 5-0. And I'm like, yeah, because that's just how this works. It's one of those types of scenarios where you got to pick 5 games, whether you love them all or not. The lines have been out for a while. I feel really good about these picks. I think the Vikings can win, the Browns can win, Jacksonville can win, and I just hope the Falcons cover, because otherwise I'm going to be starting off hurtful with Jameis already being down an L to start the season. That's not going to be great for my 9-win need.
But the NFL is back, and we have our 5 against the spread picks. So do make sure to follow Kelly on Twitter at KellyInVegas. You can follow me on Twitter at PamelaM35. And do make sure to check out this podcast each and every Friday. We will be recording late in the afternoon. It will be going up Friday night. This week is a lone exception, but do expect it on Fridays. Kelly, I am so excited. Fingers crossed. And have fun in Kansas, girl.
That's the plan.
All right. See you next week. Another episode